Welcome to Data Exchange 101, how to ensure your clinic submits quality data to CAIR2. Some of the topics we'll go over today include data quality, data exchange monitoring, data exchange message types and structure, how to read and interpret ACK messages, ACK error examples, and using the data exchange check status feature. How is data quality defined? There are three major components of data quality. First, patient data should be accurate. User issues can easily affect data accuracy, so it's important to make sure that staff enter patient information correctly into the EHR. Sometimes there are EHR issues. For example, is patient info being sent to CAIR correctly? Next, patient data should be complete. CAIR2 has consolidated patient data from the 7 CDPH-managed regional care registries. With over 22 million records in CAIR2, the more patient info CAIR2 has, the higher the probability that incoming data will be merged to the correct patient. Patient data should also be timely. Timely submission guarantees that data is in CAIR by the next doctor visit and helps ensure that people get the vaccinations they need when they need them. While the three characteristics listed on screen are essential to data quality, accuracy is the most important as clinical decisions and actions are based on the data collected from providers. Maintaining data quality. To ensure that only high-quality data is sent to CAIR2, sites sending data from EHR systems should make sure that their staff enter accurate and complete patient demographic and shot information into the EHR. Work with their vendor or staff to resolve any data accuracy or integrity issues. And monitor data exchange submissions to CAIR on an ongoing basis to ensure continuity and accuracy. Communication and cooperation among clinic staff, EHR vendors, sending facilities, and CAIR2 staff is key to maintaining high data quality. Know how to use your EHR. The proper use of your EHR software is a critical determinant of data quality. Make sure all staff are adequately trained on your EHR, particularly new staff. Also make sure staff are entering all relevant patient information into the EHR so data sent to CAIR is complete. Furthermore, ensure that your EHR interface is properly configured for easy and accurate use. For example, Dropdown menus are useful but can be improperly used. For instance, a pediatric practice sending only adult hepatitis B doses to CAIR may indicate staff is selecting the wrong vaccine in an EHR drop-down menu. Work with your EHR vendors when issues arise. Don't ignore software issues that may impact the proper usage and/or accuracy of your patient medical records. Remember, inaccurate data can greatly affect your patients. Many times, once software issues are identified, they can be easily fixed, but it's important that you and your staff know your EHR contact and report any issues to them ASAP. Don't be afraid to ask for help. After all, you are paying them for their service, and some of these EHRs can be very expensive. Work with your vendor to resolve EHR issues, including any impacting accurate data submission to CAIR2. We cannot stress this enough. Ensure that patient info sent to CAIR2 is accurate. Confirm data quality by monitoring your clinic's data exchange message flow and proper data quality, either via your EHR or through the use of the check status screen in CAIR2. We'll go over these options in detail later in the presentation. Communicate with your vendor if message flow is interrupted or if excess errors occur. And periodically look at patients in CAIR2 to check for accuracy. So how do you set up data exchange monitoring in your practice? First, you need to determine how your practice will monitor messaging. First, some EHRs can receive and display data exchange acknowledgement messages, also known as ACKs. Consult with your vendor to see if this option is available. If this feature is not available in your EHR, use the Data Exchange Check Status function in CAIR2 instead to monitor data exchange activity. Access requires Power User or Data Exchange Quality Assurance User Status in CAIR2. Make sure to assign primary responsibility for data exchange monitoring to one of your staff members and implement an ongoing data exchange monitoring process. For example, monitoring can be done weekly, daily, or weekly, and staff could review randomly chosen messages or failed messages only, etc. It's also a good idea to periodically compare selected patient records in your EHR with the same patient records in CAIR2 to ensure that the information in CAIR2 matches the information in your EHR. Remember, data monitoring helps ensure that the patient data your site is sending to CAIR2 is accurate, complete, and timely. Let's review data exchange message types. A VXU message is the HL7 message type that your EHR uses to send patient vaccinations to CAIR2. An ACK message is an acknowledgement message sent back to your EHR by CAIR2 indicating the message status. As you can see on screen, the EHR sends a VXU to CAIR2, and CAIR2 sends an ACK back. Remember, some EHRs are able to display ACK messages. If yours can't, use the CAIR2 Check Status feature to see these ACK messages. Now let's go over VXU message structure. A VXU message is comprised of multiple segments with multiple fields per segment. The message segment header, MSH, contains message information and defines things like what kind of message is being sent, when it was sent, and what kind of system is sending it. The patient identifier segment, PID, contains patient identifying and demographic information like the patient name, date of birth, and address. The patient demographic segment, PD1, contains additional demographic information like disclosure and sharing status. The next of kin segment, NK1, contains information about the patient's next of kin or other related parties. The order request segment, ORC, is required for HL7 version 2.5.1 messages, and each RXA must be associated with one ORC. The pharmacy treatment administration segment, RXA, carries pharmacy administration data. This segment is required to indicate which vaccinations are given and tells us important information such as the date the vaccine was administered, what type of vaccine was administered, the administered amount, etc. The pharmacy treatment route segment, RXR, is a continuation of the RXA segment and contains vaccine route and body site information. And lastly, the observation segment, OBX, is used to give additional information related to an immunization, such as VSD eligibility, VIS date, etc. Remember, all the segments we just went over contain multiple fields. Fields within segments are pipe delimited, and subfields are hat delimited. Pipes and hats are also used to tell the interface how to parse out the data, and it also provides us an easy way to read the message, as we'll see on the next slide. Many fields and subfields have defined code sets. For example, CVX codes are codes that indicate the product used in a vaccination. MVX codes are codes that indicate the manufacturer of a vaccine. Here's a sample VXU message. The segment headers are in bold red font for readability. As you can see on screen, pipes separate data within the segment, and hats separate the field components. Now we'll go over ACK message structure. ACK messages contain three segments. The message header segment, MSH, reflects information about a previously received single record. The message acknowledgement segment, MSA, contains the acknowledgement response. And the error segment. The error segment reports information about errors in processing the message. The segment may repeat, and each error will have its own error segment. The MSA1 contains an acknowledgement code. AA, application accept, means the message was accepted without error. AE, application error, indicates the message was processed and errors are being reported. AR, application reject, means the message was rejected due to fatal errors. The MSA2 contains the message control ID of the message sent by the sending system. Essentially, this field echoes the message control ID sent in the MSH10 by the initiating system. As far as the error field goes, the error2 identifies the location in a message related to the identified error, warning, or message. The error3 identifies the HL7 error code. You can refer to table HL7, table 0357, which contains the message error condition codes for valid values. The error4 identifies the severity of an application error. In order of severity, E stands for error, W indicates a warning, and I means information. The error5 contains an application error code, and table 0533 identifies the application error and warning codes and descriptions. Lastly, the error8 is a user message and contains a description of the error and outcome. So how do you read and interpret your ACK messages? If an ACK message has no error segment, the message was accepted by CAIR2. Ideally, you're seeing an AA, application accept, in the MSA1 field. If the MSA1 is AE, application error, or AR, application reject, look at the error segment. Review the error8 field, which contains the error description. The error2 field tells you the error location, and review the error4 field to determine the error severity. Is it an error, warning, or information? Please note that AE, application error messages, with an E in the error4 may still be rejected. You'll need to report errors or send failed messages to your vendor, particularly if a high percentage of messages have errors or if there are distinct error patterns. This is pretty common where we see multiple messages with the same error. In ACK error example 1, there is an invalid vaccine code. If a provider sent this VXD message, the ACK message returned to the provider would show that this message was accepted, but it contained errors. The MSA1 displays an AE. The error2 tells us that the error occurred in the RxA 5.1, and the error4 tells us that the severity was E for error. The error8 tells you exactly what went wrong. The RxA segment was ignored because an invalid code was sent. 368 is not a valid CVX code. Remember, the RxA segment contains the pharmacy administration data and tells us which vaccine was administered. When an error like this occurs and the RxA segment is ignored, the immunization data is not received by the immunization registry. There would be no record of this patient receiving this meningococcal vaccine in CAIR. An error such as this one would need to be reported to your vendor or IT staff so that the CVX code can be corrected and the provider would resubmit the message. For ACK error example 2, a missing OBX3 has led to the RxA segment being rejected. Multiple error segments were returned telling the provider what happened. The first error segment tells you that there is an error due to an inaccurate or missing observation value in the OBX3, therefore no value was stored. As a result, the second error segment tells you that the first OBX segment is ignored because the required OBX3 field was missing. On screen, you can see that there are two OBX segments. The first one tells us VSD eligibility, and the second OBX segment tells us the date the VIS was published. Lastly, the third error segment lets you know that the RXA was rejected as a result of the invalid OBX. Again, when the RXA segment is ignored, that immunization data is not received by the immunization registry, so this error would need to be reported to your vendor or IT staff so that the OBX3 can be corrected and message be resubmitted. Lastly, in ACK error example number 3, an incorrect processing ID type in the MSH11 has resulted in a fatal error, and as a result, the message was rejected. In this case, the error 8 also tells you that the MSH11 must be P for production, as stated in the CAIR2 specifications. All other values will cause the message to be rejected. The second error segment also reiterates that the MSH11 should match constraint listed in the CAIR2 specs. Remember, some EHRs can receive and display data exchange acknowledgement messages. If this feature is not available in your EHR, you can use the data exchange check status function in CAIR2 to monitor data exchange activity. The check status feature is only available to data exchange power or data exchange quality assurance users. To log in, you'll need your CAIR ID, also known as org code, username, and password. To monitor ongoing data exchange activity, click Check Status under Data Exchange on the menu panel. From the Show dropdown, choose over what period of time you would like to review recent messages. Your options are past 1, 7, 15, 30 days, or all. Choose Yes from the real-time drop-down menu, as most sites are submitting messages in real time. The job name lists each message received by CAIR2 from your site during the period shown. When a job is complete, the job name will appear as a hyperlink that you can click on. Click Refresh as needed to check the status of a job. It will not automatically update. As you can see in this example, the majority of jobs are listed as complete. Jobs that could not be processed because of formatting errors have their status listed as error. You can click on those hyperlinks as well. Completed jobs with an error status should be reported to your EHR vendor or IT staff. If the job completed successfully, the job detail screen will display when you click on the job name hyperlink. The summary information table reviews whether the patient record has been updated and what information was added or updated. If your site uses the inventory decrementing feature, you can also see if the inventory was updated or not. Both the submitted HL7VXU message and the HL7 ACT sent back to the submitter can be viewed by clicking on their respective links. A completed job may still have errors or warnings, so it's especially important for sites to review the ACT message by clicking on the HL7-251 response hyperlink. In order to monitor data exchange, it's best to set up a schedule. For instance, choose at least 1 day per week to monitor your messages. Randomly choose 10 messages and review their status. If 2 or more have failed, open a handful more and determine if the failed messages show a consistent pattern. Communicate the findings to your EHR vendor so they can fix the issue. Your vendor may request that you send them a copy of the ACT message or provide them with other message identifying information so that they can review the issue and fix it. If you or your staff needs a data exchange power or data exchange quality assurance account, please go to cairweb.org and click on CAIR Account Update. If you have any questions, please email cair.exchange@cdph.ca.gov. Thank you. can't stop it.